Boss, I was telling you not to arm wrestle real arm wrestlers. They're gonna break your arm, man.
No, dude, the guy is like #1 in Florida for.
Yeah. Okay, so Signoretti says, "Damn, this is the podcast I've been waiting for. Coach Steve's honest opinion on peak Boston at the NPC border clash." so I had Steve check out the pictures ahead of time.
Okay.
We'll put them. We'll put them in the clip. I'll have them overlaid. But
I like your arms, Boston. They're nice and full.
That's true.
Thank you. I was thin-thawing the shit out of them.
I saw. So I think the only thing you need to improve on this show is the chest a little bit and a little bit more back width, and try to fill out those legs. That would be my only suggestion. Yeah, maybe
my
get
chest
the arm.
sucks and my legs suck. But wait, wasn't the question if I should have won?
No, the question was his opinion. But should he? Who was his?
Cornelius.
Cornelius is gonna get offended. He follows.
I think he preemptively sent me a couple compliments a couple months ago, just in case I would ever do a podcast with Boston Lloyd.
Lenny was honest about it. Lenny was like, "Yeah, I don't know how he won," and then Cornelius was like, "I can't believe Lenny said that."
Cornelius takes things seriously.
But this is the problem with competition, and I see that here in the amateur circuit as well. It's like popularity or unpopularity. It moves you a place or two, no matter how good you are. Or when they get tired
I was the popular one, but I had the 3cc in my hair. He had a gym in that area. He knew all the judges. I mean, it was.
No, that doesn't help. Yeah, it doesn't help. No, there's a couple of things to improve, but it's overall you look good, man. It's a little bit better conditioning, a little bit bigger line, but there's always something to improve.
That was my warm up show. Actually, my main show was 4 weeks after that. But after that, man, me and Ariella, we got back together. We were talking. We got back together, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do another 4 weeks. But see, at that point, I kept EQ in. I had pulled it like a week out. Usually, I pull EQ about 5 weeks out. So I pulled the EQ out 5 weeks out from my main show. I used a little bit of Halo, but not as much as I was using the main show. And you know what I was going to add in at the very end, which I never got to ever try, was primo acetate at like 150 mgs a day.
Yeah, I usually don't see a benefit of that.
Really? I've heard really good things about high dose primo acetate.
Over the Halo testing and the Super Draw cocktail that most guys run at the end, Which diuretic did you use at the show?
I hate using a lot of diuretics, so I use the half. I think the biggest problem with bodybuilders peaking for shows is they use diuretics on the show day. I used the half a diazide at 11 a.m. on Friday. And then I used another half at 8 p.m. And I removed all sodium all day long.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because you're a little bit flat, especially in the legs.
That was the biggest game changer for me. The night before, I was watery. I'm very sodium sensitive. My glutes were not in at all. And just from pulling the sodium and dropping the diazide, I dried up drastically. No, I wasn't flat, man. I just didn't have the muscle. I just didn't have the muscle.
Did you reintroduce the sodium after you woke up? Like a little bit of sodium with each meal?
On the show day when the water's gone, yes, I add sodium back in.
Okay. But any insulin and injectable and adenosine phosphate, triphosphate?
No, I didn't do that.
No, okay.
I did
just checking.
I did shoot Nolotil though the night before.
What I will say for the audience also, like when I look at your pictures, and besides the arms that are clearly a little bit larger than they were intended to be, you have very minimal amount of scar tissue over your body. Besides the arm and then the arms being jimmied up. But I would expect like lumps and bumps everywhere, considering you've done pretty big dosages, but I don't see that. And I've seen
my body healed pretty well from the shots.
Yeah, so it's either the quality of the gear or you're the administrator of a perfect administrator.
I probably would say because I go so deep. You know what I mean?
He's trying to hit the bone when he injects. He's looking for the bone. But Boston, I got to tell you something funny. Remember that arm wrestling thing that you were gonna do? I did. So I just found out. Listen, today I had a podcast with an arm wrestling guy, and I told him, "Do you know Boston Lloyd?" He's like, "Of course I know Boston Lloyd." I was like, Oh, because he's Russian. He's like, did you know that Bostin Lloyd is more famous in Russia than America? And everyone in Russia knows Bostin Lloyd, and all the Russian arm wrestlers know him. I was like, oh, that's great. Then he's like, you know what? He's in Florida. He's like, I heard Bostin was going to arm wrestle some guy. I was going to drive 5 hours to see him. I was like, who's this guy? He's like, no, he's a real arm wrestler. I was like, oh, shit. Bostin, I was telling you not to arm wrestle real arm wrestlers. They're going to break your arm, man.
No, dude, the guy is like #1 in Florida for...
yeah, he's a real arm wrestler. Yeah, you should don't arm wrestle that guy.
Hey, but you know what, dude? And I injured my pec the week before. And I said, I can't back out. So I said, hey, man, I can't do my right arm because I have this pec. I was like, let's do left arm because I can't do the right. And he was cool with that. He's actually better with his left than he is with his right. So that fucking works. You know that thing that you hold?
Yeah.
The thing you hold? I was feeling pressure on my chest. But, dude, I swear to God, I was fucked up for at least 10 days. My shoulder was in so much pain, dude.
Yeah, it's very dangerous.
That's how Ian Valliere broke his arm, and Victor Martinez also.
Yep.
Wait, Ian Valliere broke his arm wrestling?
Yes, he's got a huge scar.
Full surgery.
Holy shit! I've never known that. And Victor Martinez?
Yeah, Victor Martinez also.
How did I not know this? This
and
is so interesting.
Rich Piana did some wrestling, and then he tore his patella, and
Rich Piana actually came to my arm wrestling gym in LA with my coach and with Scott, and arm wrestled there and filmed it, and it's on YouTube. My coach, who's the one who arm wrestled and taught him to arm wrestle in the video, I talked to him after. I was like, how is it arm wrestling with Rich? He's like, I've never felt a hand like that in my life. He said, when I grabbed his hand, it was like pieces of glass breaking. Everything was weak and everything made noise. He said, as I moved the bone, everything, it just felt like there was no strength. He said, zero strength. And then later I found out, of course, Rich used to bring fake weights to the gym. So every lift he was doing in that gym was with fake weights.
That's why me and Rich got in an argument. That's why me and Rich got in an argument when I was down there, because not an argument, but he wanted to film with fake weights. And I said, hey, I won't be doing these videos with the fake weights. We were in the pit at the Gold's Venice. We were in the pit with all of his 5% crew. And he wanted to do all this fake 5 weight. The plates were like 10 pounds. The 45s were like, they're so light. And he was like, oh, it's just for show and this and that. I'm like, sorry, man, I can't be involved in this.
Yeah, Bostin has amazing ethics. By the way, Bostin does that all the time privately. Like, I talk to Bostin about stuff, and he's like, I can't do this.
Yeah, there's just some things you just like, you know.
All right, guys. Yeah. So Graciano Gabriel asked a question that Boston's gonna love. He says, best drug for blood pressure for bodybuilders, is it telmisartan versus valsartan? I think officially I can stop answering this question. Boston is now totally aware of everything. What do you think?
The best one that I had at lowering my blood pressure, if I had to pick one, right? Is that the question? Just one? If I had to pick one?
Yeah, he's picking one.
Out of everything I've tried, the thing that lowered me the most was the Ramipril.
The ACE inhibitor Ramipril, which is a very valid ACE inhibitor. I made a post on my story last week about 2 interesting ACE inhibitors. I don't know as much about ACE inhibitors because they're more extreme. If you don't have kidney problems like Boston, when you have kidney problems, your blood pressure just skyrockets. It's really hard to control. Crazy. So at that point, it's different. But for a bodybuilder, the cleanest ARB, the most selective, is valsartan. Telmisartan, the problem is going to make you gain a bit of fat. If you don't want to gain fat, you're a bodybuilder, you may not want telmisartan. The gaining of the fat comes from the PPAR gamma receptor, which is healthy, prevents you probably from keeping fat in your blood, like having high triglycerides, stuff like that, but may make you store a little bit more fat. Irbesartan is the ARB that's known to potentially improve function in chronic kidney disease. Azilsartan is the strongest ARB of all. So if you want to pick an ARB, which are less, they cause, because ARBs leave one receptor signaling open, and that receptor is pro-growth. Like that receptor does the same things as BPC157, TB500, stuff like that. So if you want that recovery, you may want to use an ARB. If you want a sledgehammer, use an ACE inhibitor.
Leo, why do doctors not like to prescribe irbesartan and alzosartan?
They're not, see, doctors don't like to prescribe things that they're not used to. It's difficult to prescribe something you've not prescribed before, and they're not that commonly prescribed. That's the reason.
Okay.
Because they're so extreme.
Because I've talked to so many people with kidney diseases, and I haven't heard one doctor that has prescribed it. So right now, Leo, and I'm responding very well to it, my blood pressure is the best it's ever been, is valsartan, 80 mgs in the morning, with Ramipril, 5 mgs morning and night, and then I'm doing the Cardiva, 6.25 milligrams morning and night. And my blood pressure is at like 130/70, which for me, that's like
finally. Awesome. Oh, that's congratulations. We finally got to 130. Oh,
so you know what protocol that is? That's the protocol that our buddy Bo uses. The
extreme one, yeah.
The only difference is he was taking the max dose on both. I'm taking the half dose on both. So he was doing 160 valsartan with 10 mgs twice a day of ramipril. I'm just doing half of what he was doing. But I added in the Cardivas because my resting heart rate was like over 100.
That's fantastic.
Because your blood pressure was too low, or
no, it's too high with the heart rate.
But maybe the blood pressure came too low, so his heart rate picked up. That also
had
happens.
a high heart rate and a high blood pressure frequency.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I had the similar, but now I'm running 5 milligrams of nebivolol and 20 milligrams of telmisartan. For your information, my exercise performance does not go down on nebivolol.
Hey, tell him about nebivolol. He's never tried it. He's interested.
So nebivolol, it's like a beta blocker for clen users. It's beta-1 selective, but it blocks the beta-1 receptor, but it also agonizes the beta-3 receptor. So you might get, it's the same as what they said about telmisartan. It might be a little bit of performance-enhancing benefits.
What I notice, like that too, yeah.
Yeah. So what I noticed with the nebivolol, I started using it first. I think it was one of the questions. I started using nebivolol during a carb up because my heart rate would pick up. And it was annoying, right? You're carbohydrate depleted during the week. I usually do a ketogenic diet with Lantus. I'm sure Bostin is familiar. So I would do a ketogenic diet during the week. And then in the weekend, I would do like a 500, 600, 800 carb refeed, right? And my heart rate would just go sky high. So I would
how high are we talking?
Like 100 resting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was uncomfortable, right? And you did no clenbuterol or anything, other stimulants in my body, and not using clen or anything for a week, right? Normally you would use a little bit of clen to get lean. So I would take that out, and then I would use 5 milligrams of nebivolol and lower the carbs, and then I would fill out better. So I would eat less and use the beta blocker to keep my heart rate down. So preserving calories.
I do notice when I was on the heavy antenolol, which is a beta blocker, my muscles were fuller, but it was harder for me to lose fat and harden up.
Yeah, I have the same thing right now. So 5 milligrams nebivolol and 20 milligrams of telmisartan, not very conducive to get lean, obviously. But at this point, it's not really important to me. But it's very easy. It almost feels anabolic. It almost. But I'm not on steroids, obviously. But when I train, I'm like, I look too good for not being on steroids.
Well, there's one thing also, right? The advantage with nebivolol is it increases nitric oxide synthase. So it increases.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So maybe that's also part of it.
You get pumps, right? Yeah.
But also maybe you're recovering better because of a lower heart rate after the gym.
Exactly. Because so that's the reason why.
The advantage with nebivolol Bostin is that he can still get his heart rate as high as it could because of the increase in nitric oxide synthase. He can get his heart rate. Nebivolol will lower your resting heart rate, but allow you to still get max cardio heart rate.
So Steve, would it be completely pointless to run clen while you're on a beta blocker like that?
It still works. I've tried it, but most of the fat loss that you get from clenbuterol is an elevated heart rate. So you block the beta-1 receptor with nebivolol, and you activate the beta-2, so your heart rate picks up a little bit when you're on clenbuterol and nebivolol. But you don't get the palpitations and the continuously elevated heart rate, which contributes to most of the fat loss. So they kind of cancel each other out, but you'll still get the improved or the shortened rest periods in between training, right? Because the nebivolol reduces the heart rate faster. So now you get, better oxygenation, better recovery in between sets, but you still get that CNS support.
Leo, that's how I think the carvedilol is, because I could still get my heart rate to 125 on the carvedilol. On the antenolol, good luck. I couldn't get over 100.
Well, that's because carvedilol agonizes the alpha receptor. It blocks one receptor, agonizes the other receptor. So it'll raise your heart rate slightly. It
blocks the beta one and agonizes the alpha two.
It has an inverse relationship with one of the other receptors, if I recall correctly. I've never taken it myself, but there are two beta blockers that have that relationship. Carvedilol and
so same as nebivolol, right? It's a selective beta blocker receptor modulator.
Nebivolol is just the most selective, so it doesn't touch the alpha as much. If I remember correctly, I may be wrong.
No, it doesn't touch the alpha.
Carvedilol agonizes the alpha. So it has an opposite relationship or inverse agonist. It has some kind of opposite relationship. Yeah.
These CRT clinics, guys, a lot of these CRT clinics, they go with carvedilol all day long on the beta blockers.
Interesting. Okay, so we have
most of those guys are not athletes, right? So what I prefer for athletes would be the nebivolol and the telmisartan, but you would need to take both out if you want to get.
Leo brought up a point about telmisartan, which I think he's completely spot on. I thought it was the beta blocker keeping me fat, but I think it was the fucking telmisartan keeping me fat.
No, right. So I was just going to say that for the off season would be the nebivolol and the telmisartan, just to reduce your requirement for food, so you don't get into the state of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease simply because all this food is passing through your liver, and some of it might get left behind. But then when you're trying to,
what would you use for a guy pre-contest?
During a cut, you take the nebivolol out and then maybe use the valsartan as a replacement.
Okay, so you wouldn't use any beta blocker while you're dieting?
No, because you need the elevated heart rate to stimulate fat loss.
Somebody like me, I need a beta blocker for whatever I do because of the issues.
Cardio.
You could use nebivolol because you can still get your heart rate high when you're exercising, and it'll still work for you. It just
nebivolol or carvedilol would probably be my best choice, huh?
Probably, yeah. And I would continue to use it myself because I have no desire to get absolutely shredded anymore. Maybe when I'm 40. But at this point, I would just run like a low maintenance dose, and whatever fat loss I get or fat gain from it, so be it. It's longevity is a little bit more important at this point.
Exactly.